Earth, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly, and today we are going to talk about the 6 books that I read in January. Alright, so the first book that I read in January was No One Will Miss Her by Kat Rosenfield. This book is about a girl from a small town who meets like an Instagram influencer kind of person, and there is like a big mystery that goes down. I'm gonna be completely honest. I rated this 3 stars. I don't really remember much about it, and that's why I gave it 3 stars. I had a good time reading it. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like great either. And now that I'm trying to like give you a review about it, I don't even really remember like what happened, what the twist was. Really nothing. So it doesn't really stick out in my mind. It doesn't really stick with me. And so that was my first read. I'm looking at the Goodreads, like, what is that on this, like the description? I'm a professional. Oh, okay. I remember this now. I had to read the little synopsis. Okay. So basically, there is a married couple who run like an Airbnb. The wife's father had passed away and like left her this property, and it's like a cabin like in this small town that's kind of like out in the woods kind of thing. And so she is running this Airbnb, and she has an Instagram influencer and like her celebrity husband who come and stay at their Airbnb. And basically a murder happens, and that's all I can say without spoiling anything. Again, it took me reading like the synopsis to really remember like what happened. It was a good book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because it wasn't the best thriller mystery that I've ever read, but it wasn't the worst. And the twist was pretty good. I predicted it, like, maybe I just read too many mystery thrillers, but I was like, I think this is going to happen, and then this happened, and I was like, okay. And that's probably why it didn't stick out in my mind as much. But it was a good time, so 3 out of 5 stars on that one. The second book that I read in January is Crescent City, The House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. If you go back maybe about a year, you will see that I did a book roast of ACOTAR. Sarah J. Maas and I have a very interesting relationship, I should say. I enjoyed Throne of Glass. I DNF'd the series at book like 5, I think, after, or maybe it was Tower of Dawn, whatever book that is. I think I read 30 pages and was like, I just can't do this because the whole series was too long and I didn't care about the characters anymore. But up until that point, I did enjoy the story. And then everybody told me to read ACOTAR, and I would love ACOTAR. So I read ACOTAR up to A Court of Silver Flames. The first half of that series, I hated all of it. I went into A Court of Silver Flames with the mindset of just look at it as a new, same characters, but like a new edition kind of thing. And I did that because there were some very problematic things in the first like trilogy. I didn't read the novella, but in the first trilogy there was a lot of problematic stuff that didn't sit right with me, that I didn't enjoy. So when A Court of Silver Flames came out, I went into it kind of with an open mind and like a blank slate of the world has already been built, but these are different characters. Needless to say, I hated A Court of Thorns and Roses So ACOTAR, ACOMATH, ACOWAR, 1 star, all of them. Hated them. I think A Court of Silver Flames I gave 3 stars. It was okay. So then Miss Sarah J. Maas comes out with House of Earth and Blood, and everyone is like, oh my gosh, you have to read it, you have to read it, you have to read it. And I tell you all of this so you understand kind of where I'm at in the world of Sarah J. Maas, where I've really enjoyed one of her series, but I really didn't care for the other one. And so I went in kind of with an open mind. And I will say that I rated House of Earth and Blood 3 stars. I loved Bryce and Danica's relationship. I related to that so much. And I think that's why I liked this book so much. Until I didn't. And what I mean by that is, this is not a spoiler. This happens within, I want to say, the first 100 pages, maybe 150 pages of the book. Bryce's best friend gets murdered. It's actually in the description, right? So her best friend gets murdered by a demon. And that was uncool and like shitty of Sarah J. Maas to do. But then after that, I really liked how the trauma of losing someone that close to you was depicted. I think that she did such a good job of showing how that trauma can really mess with somebody. Those were the things that I really liked about this book. The things that I didn't like was the love interest. Her and, what was even his name? It was like, he had like 3 names, first of all. Like, why did he have 3 names? Hunt. Hunt is what like he went by, but then he had like a birth name, and then he was like also known as like the death angel or something. I was like, why do you have so many names? Can you just pick one name, please? Because just pick one. Pick one and stick with it. Stop. It's too much. Anyways, so the love interest is Hunt. It felt forced. I'm not a romance reader to begin with. If romance is the main plot of a story, I'm not into it. I don't care. The last thing that I care about in a book is the romance. This was just it was bad. Her relationship with Hunt, the amount of times that they like get together and then are broken up over some bullshit, and like the insta love and like I just didn't like it. I didn't care about Hunt and Bryce's relationship. They had some good banter, but like aside from that, I didn't care. The other relationship that I really liked was Bryce and, is it Rune? I think it's Rune. I really liked their relationship. They pass off as cousins, but they're really siblings. I related to that relationship so much because I do, in real life, have a cousin that is more like a brother to me. And so their relationship reminded me very much of our relationship, and like the banter that we have back and forth, the genuine love that we have for each other. It's more of like, that is my brother than that's my cousin kind of thing. So I really did enjoy that relationship as well. Overall, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I liked it. I had a good time. There were good moments, but like, and I remember, right, like what happened, but I didn't love it. It wasn't the most amazing book that I had ever read. Am I going to pick up the sequel? I don't even know what it's, I know the cover is blue. Wind and Ice? Or are we doing planet names? Is it ice, like Pluto? I don't know. I think that I am going to continue with the series, and we'll just see how book 2 goes. And I've just learned with Sarah J. Maas, I need to go into the book with low expectations. Because if I go in with high expectations, it is not a fun time for me. Next, I read The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. This was creepy, okay? And so far for the year, it's the creepiest book that I've read. So The Winter People takes place in two different years. I was going to say time zones, and that's not quite right. 2 different years. The first being in like the 1800s, and then the second being like present day, like in the 2000s. So we start off with, we have found a journal, basically, and the journal is like the writings of the 1800s characters that we're following. Without giving too much away, basically this is following two mothers. The mother in the 1800s is married, and like she has some babies that end up passing after they've been, like they're born and they're alive, but then like they get sick or something like that. And she's like a grieving mother looking for a way to still connect with her children who have passed. And then in present day, we're following the daughters of a mother who has gone missing. And so it's very interesting how both of these stories tie in together. Like a creepy aunt involved. There's a lot of just creepy things that happen, and I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars because it really creeped me out. Like one scene in particular that really sticks out in my mind is when, and I'm not going to say time frame or anything, someone is laying in bed and they hear in the closet someone like, right, they're like scratching at the floor. That's terrifying. Okay, if I'm in bed and something is scratching around in my closet, I am no longer going to be in the house. Like, I'm out. Bye. Like, no. So that was terrifying. The twist in this, I didn't see coming. Jennifer McMahon, I feel like, does the dual timelines very well. She wraps it nice in a little present with a bow. She does it very well. I never felt confused. I never felt like, well, what's going on? How is this tying together? Overall, I did really enjoy The Winter People. And if you're looking for a good creepy book, I highly do recommend this one. Next, I read a novella, Ritualistic Human Sacrifice by C.V. Hunt. Why did I read this? Why did I read this? Why did I read this? Why did I keep going? It was one of those books that as I kept reading, I was like, it's gotta get better, it's gotta get better. But it kept progressively getting worse. This is the most disgusting book I've ever read. Yeah. One out of 5 stars. I hated it. So Ritualistic Human Sacrifice is a book about a married couple. Nick and Eve, I believe, are their names. And Nick is like, I hate my wife, I hate my life, I hate everything. I want a divorce, basically. And then Eve drops some life-changing news onto Nick, and instead of being an adult about the news, he throws a temper tantrum and decides that he's going to seek revenge on his wife by making her miserable. And basically it ends up that they move like 3 hours from where they live to this super small town, and you get to the small town and it's creepy. Okay, it's a creepy small town, and it just gets worse and worse and worse as you read. I do not recommend. Check the trigger warnings. just don't read it. It's not good. Don't do it. Next, I read The Girl in 6E. I'm still counting this because I did get halfway through, but I did DNF this at halfway. The Girl in 6E is basically about a girl who pays her neighbor in drugs to lock her in her apartment from the outside at night so that she cannot get out because she has like rageous murderous intentions, and I guess she can't control herself from murdering people, so they lock her in her apartment. And the premise of that sounds very interesting. She works from home. She works as like a cam girl, and the premise is very interesting, but I just didn't care about the characters. It was just boring to me. A lot of the scenes are like her like webcamming scenes or whatever, and they're pretty graphic, and that doesn't really bother me, but it was just like I don't care. I just didn't care. I was bored with the characters. I was really bored with the plot. I didn't feel like it was really moving or going anywhere, and I really didn't care about these online dudes who are paying her for her cam sessions. It's supposed to be a mystery. I think that there's some kind of murder or something. I didn't even get to that part. The first half of the book is literally her and her camming sessions. And I just didn't care. It felt more like a how-to guide on how to become a webcam model and like how to deal with the people who are coming into your live streams or however you're doing it. I don't know. And that sucks because a lot of people on BookTube that I watch really liked it. And this one just wasn't for me. I just didn't care. The last book that I read for January is A Flicker in the Dark. This was a new release that I forgot that I pre-ordered, and then it showed up and I was like, what is this? Where did this come from? So A Flicker in the Dark is about Chloe, and we're kind of following two timelines in Chloe's life. The first is when Chloe is 12 and she is still living in a small town and she's living with her family. 6 young girls go missing and they arrest her father for the crimes. Then, fast forward, we follow Chloe as an adult. I believe she is still in the same town, working as a therapist, and these girls start to go missing again. And she's like, well, it can't be my dad because my dad is in prison, so it has to be a copycat. And so it's her kind of going down this rabbit hole of trying to save girls in the town present day from going missing because she remembers what it was like when she was 12 and that was happening. This was a good time. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Again, I predicted right as soon as we're introduced to several characters in her life, I was like, oh, it's one of these 2 people. And then I want to say 50 more pages in, I was like, it's that one. It's that one. That one is sus. That's who it is. And that's who it was. And so I don't know if it's just me. Do I just predict the twist? Do I just read into the context clues too easily and get, I don't know. And it sucks because mystery thriller is one of my favorite genres, but it's not fun for me when I figure it out right away and then I know the whole time and then the twist comes and I'm like, yeah, I already knew that. I already knew. It was still a good time. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And those were the 6 books that I read for January. January has been kind of a rough month for me, so I haven't really been interested in reading at all. I'm actually surprised I got through 6 books to begin with. Better hope for February. So those were the 6 books that I read in January. Let me know in the comments down below which of these books did you read and what did you think of them. That is all I have for you today, so I will see you in the next video. Bye!